Hi guys, welcome to another video. So today I want to talk about Google Consent Mode, a pain in the ass. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm giving advice for marketers on GA, Google Tag Manager, Looker Studio, on analytics related tasks in a way that it is actually well suited for for marketers, right? So what do we want to get our website to look like? So in essence, we would like to have this banner down here, right? So for a user to land on the page and then basically, select whatever the user wants to select, meaning if the user wants to be tracked, they can select that and allow the selection, or they can deny it, right? Very common for GDPR compliance across the EU, right? And also in other countries like the US, but they have slightly different requirements. Anyhow, so that's what we want to get here. And we want this to fire within GTM correctly. So we are not actually passing data from GTM into Google Analytics, which we shouldn't. Okay. So let's go back here. So let's dive into it and let's set up our Cookiebot tracking tool. First of all, which we can find in the template gallery. So I click that link, open that up, and hopefully it's going to load in a second. Yeah, so we will search for Cookiebot CMP. That's the one that I'm using. There's other ones like Cookie First, but I have most experience with that and I like it, so I'm using it. So Cookiebot CMP is in our template now, or in our tag now. And what else do we need? We need a Cookiebot ID. Okay. So for that, you have to sign up on cookiebot.com. I will put a link in my description down there. Then you just have to click it, because sometimes you can click the wrong link. There are two links. One you don't want to click and the other one is fine. So I'm not going to go into detail or in great detail how you can do that, because it's basically just signing up on Cookiebot, then going to the implementation section, and then you have a script, a code there, and you got your ID there. Or if you scroll further down, you have your domain group ID. That's how they call it. So I'm going to add that ID in here. Further down here, we have our CDN regions. So select which one we want, right? As I am in EU, I'm going to select that. And we're going to keep that. We're going to enable that. And then down here, this section is actually really important, but you can miss it. So you have to go to add region. Region leave blank to apply globally, right? That's what we want. We want to apply our settings globally, and we want to have denied on all storage elements here. Like we don't want to track anyone initially, right? Analytics storage should be denied, ad storage should be denied, etc., right? We want the user to go on the banner, on the cookie banner, and then select for themselves, but we don't want to track them before that. So we will add that. Advanced settings, there's nothing really here, so that's all good. We'll leave that. And then from a trigger, we will use the all pages trigger for now. We will call this Cookiebot. We will save it. Will X out automatically. Okay, and now let's check how that looks like. So first of all, let's connect to our website, share this. Okay, now we are being connected, and let's see where the Cookiebot tag is firing. So consent initialization not fired. Initialization, no. Container loaded. Okay, so it fired on container loaded, so meaning the GTM container is fully loaded, and it's firing on that step. Now the issue with that is that a user that lands on the website and performs a quick action, for example, whatever they do, right, even a page view, could, if Cookiebot is loading that late, already be passed on to a different platform like Google Analytics or whatever, right? So, or a ad platform, for example, Meta, for example. So what we want to do is we want to get Cookiebot to actually load up here in the consent initialization phase. Not that late, it should be down here. So let's change that. So let's head back to our tag. Let's go into Cookiebot. Let's scroll down. Oops, let's go here. Let's minus that one or remove it. And let's add the consent initialization all pages. trigger. Okay, so we're going to save that. And then we're going to preview it again. Let's see how that looks like. Okay, page is loading. Okay, we're here again. So, and now we are going to check if Cookiebot is still loading at container loaded. No, it's not firing here, but it should fire here. So that's good. So it's firing here now on consent initialization. So I guess that deserves a thumb up because we just did the first thing. So next, now we want to actually track our Google Analytics data, right? So for example, you have some user data, right, to process. Visitors landing on your website, so we need to set up a Google tag, right, a G tag. I'm assuming in this case that you've set up a Google Analytics 4 account already. So let's get into it. If you haven't done that yet, then you have to sign up, just search for Google Analytics 4, sign up, or probably sign up and you will find the right link in Google, and then just sign up for a GA4 account, put in, follow the prompts basically, and yeah, then you're done. And then let's head back to GTM. So for you, so what we need to do is we need to set up a GA4 configuration tag, right? That's how we will call it. So this is basically the base tag. That's the most important tag, right, to track things on Google Analytics, like page views, average session durations, whatnot, right? Purchases, add to carts, whatever, right? Everything. So GA4 config tag, we will add a tag configuration and we will search Google tag because it's a Google tag. And then we will put in our tag ID. So when you have a GA4 account, you head over to data streams, and at data streams, there should be on the right side somewhere standing measurement ID. This is the ID that we need to put in here, okay? You can put it as a number, or you can, build a variable and reuse it all the time. So a constant variable. So you could go here. I'm not doing it now. I'm just showing you how to do it. Once you have I found your ID, you go to constant, you add your ID value, you name it GA4 measurement ID or whatnot, and that's it. Done. Okay. I've got to discard that because I've set mine up already. So configuration settings. Let's go to the advanced settings, because here in this case, let's check the built-in consent. Okay. As you can see, Cookiebot already applied built-in consent checks for my GA4 config tag. Wonderful, right? So they are ready. It's so smart, this tool, that it already knows which tags it needs to check to be GDPR compliant. These are good, right? So let's keep them like that for now. Let's save this whole thing. That's interesting as well. So the firing trigger was automatically selected as initialization all pages from Cookiebot or from the GA tag once we set it up. So that's cool, right? So let's leave that for now like that and see if that's the right one or not. So let's save that. So we got that. Cool. So let's actually preview this whole thing again. So let's go into our tag. Okay. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. So first of all, we can see the Cookiebot tag and the GA4 config tag both fired. So that's good that they fired, right? So let's see if the Cookiebot one still fired here. Yeah. Yeah, fired here, right? Cookiebot tag's fired, but the GA4 config tag hasn't fired here. So let's see when that fired. Must have been probably at container loaded. No. Sorry, initialization we got here. Yeah. So we have initialization, right? Forgot about that. So we have here initialization all pages, right? So that makes sense that it fired here. That's what we want, right? Okay. That's a good thing. What else fired here? Container load, nothing else, right? So that's all good. Now, the only problem we could have, let's go back here, is, or actually I have to explain that a little bit further. So in terms of Cookiebot, the built-in checks, right? So let's go to this little shield icon here, okay? So if you don't have this shield icon, you have to go to admin, you have to go to container settings, you have to go to enable consent overview and tick this, okay? Then save it and go back. So what I'm going to tell you here now, it's actually nice. I think so. So if you go here to the shield icon, you can see how Cookiebot is at the moment applying the built-in consent. As you can see, for Cookiebot, it's applying all of these. For GA4 Config Tag, those 4 that we saw before. And this one down here, actually, I've set that one. It didn't actually apply any built-in consent, okay? So it doesn't always do it, but usually you're fine with that. If it doesn't do it, it's probably because it thinks it doesn't need to do it. So built-in consent, what is that? What is additional consent? As you see, I've applied that here. Okay, should we just run through an example, or let me explain first? So there are 2 versions of how you can set up Google Consent Mode. There's an advanced version and a not advanced version, like a basic version, I think they call it. So this here is actually the advanced version, okay? And the basic version actually, which is a little bit contradictory, I think, because advanced should actually have more and basic should have less. But anyway, it doesn't really matter how they call it. But the thing is, what's happening here? So the GA4 config tag, whenever somebody lands on this website, oops, on the website, right? Okay, I probably have put in the wrong Cookiebot ID, but that's okay. Let me just check that. 1 sec. Oh, good. My bad. So, as mentioned, this built-in consent is basically, so let me head to the website. So if a user, for example, interacts with this down here, right? Yeah, that's the built-in consent, right? For certain tags, correct? So basically, if I select something here and the tag kind of tells me to check for that before it can actually fire, then the tag will not collect any data, right? That's this simple explanation for that. So basically, the built-in consent in here blocks certain things. So if you have the GA4 config tag and you say, I need consent for ad storage and ad personalization, ad user data, and analytics storage, which by the way is marketing and analytics. Let's head back here. Then this would be marketing and analytics. I don't need this here. If I now allow the selection, then if I go back, the tag in here, or not here, sorry, in here, will fire, but not sooner than that. So that's basically how it is. For this one, for example, you would need to check all of them, but files. For this one, you need also ad storage and analytics storage, okay? So that's basically how these tags work. That's the built-in consent, right? So now, if, for example, a user enables or allows marketing and analytics, as mentioned here, let's go back here. Let's say statistics and marketing, right? Statistics is analytics and marketing is ad, all the different ad storages, and allows the selection. Let's just do that. Let's go to our tag. Let's look what happened here. So first of all, consent initialization, GA config tag fired not, but the tags, the Cookiebot tag fired, right? Then we know on initialization, the GA config tag should fire. Yep, looks good. Container loaded, there's nothing anymore firing. But then all of a sudden, just now, when I went into my website, I actually changed the consent settings, right? I told the banner, or I told, I selected in the banner, basically. I made a consent update, right? So in this case, let's see what's happening here. As you can see, all of a sudden, let's see down here again, set, not here in the container loaded, probably. Now, where do we have it? Not here, we won't see it here. Let's just check in here. So once the container loaded, we have on page default is denied. We know that. But then let's go here to consent update. What's happening here? As you can see here, all of a sudden, we selected marketing and analytics and it was granted, right? And then basically it's just pushing this in the data layer. You can see here's the API call, and then it's a data layer push, cookie consent update, and then statistics and marketing, right? Okay, so that happened here. So in essence, what we can see is our tag fired, the GA4 config tag. That's okay, right? Because we said it can fire, correct? We selected back on our website. Where'd it go? Down here, right? We selected statistics and marketing, correct? So we are fine with that. But it's a big but. But what is the issue here? Let's share this again. Or let's go back actually to the tag, and let's in this case, let's clear the storage real quickly to get this point across 100%, because I think it's really important. So you go into the developer tools, you right click dev tools, you go to application. Just going to show you real quickly. Then you go to cookie consent or search cookie. You see the cookie consent cookie being dropped on you on the browser, and then you cancel it out or remove it, right? And then as a next step, and that's, I guess, one sec here. Okay, so that worked fine. I'm fine with that. But now let's do something else, okay? Let's play around a little bit with this. So as mentioned, I deleted the cookie, right? So let's refresh the page real quickly. So that should show our banner again, the entire one. Yep, so that's good. So let's do the following. Let's go back to this. Let's preview our tag again, okay? Shift tab. Okay. Okay. Cool. So, and now that's kind of the tricky part that nobody tells you about, I find. So what you can see is on our website we actually did not select anything, right? Nothing. We didn't consent to anything, right? But now the weird thing though is you can see these tags fired, right? Like when you go into this section here, you can see Cookiebot, GA Config Tag being fired. So why has that fired if we haven't even selected anything, right? So why is that? So if I go in here, what does it say? Firing triggers, initialization, all pages fired, correct? All good. You would think so, right? But then we said we don't want, we didn't consent yet, right? And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That this built-in consent. So if you go back here, GA config tag, in the tag, advanced settings, we go down here to consent settings. These built-in consent checks here are nice to have, but we are still sending data to Google in this case. So although a user hasn't consented, we're still now sending user data to Google Analytics, but it will be anonymized, it will be aggregated, it will be used for modeling. So they basically try to, what should I say? Let's say they have 100 visitors or 1,000 visitors, 2 of them or 10 of them purchase something, and then they look at these cookieless pings, they call them cookieless pings. And if they are behaving similar, like 10 of these people that have purchased, then the modeling will also, or will likely actually also count a conversion in your GA4 account. And that's basically what that does. It's basically modeling the data and giving you insights, even though the user hasn't consented. And that's so important to know, right? So you're sending tags over to Google, but they are cookieless pings, anonymized. You should be fine, right? From a legal perspective, or are you? Who knows really, right? So you have to check that with your legal team or make it as a company decision, a business decision, if you want to track these guys, these people, or if you don't want to track them. I'm not going to say anything to that. Everybody has to make up their mind themselves. I have heard from GA experts, marketers, different opinions. Some say do it, some say don't, because it's anonymized, so they think it's okay, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. Just wanted to highlight that and how to prevent these cookieless pings. This is now this the other consent implementation, consent mode implementation. So, and how do you do it? You go in your GA config tag, you say require additional consent for tag to fire, and you add analytics storage, for example, right? So for our GA config tag, we have add storage and analytics storage, right? Selected as a built-in consent check, but now I'm saying like I want additional consent checks. So let's see what that does. We could even also add storage if we wanted to be consistent with the approach up here. Add storage will cover anyway add personalization and add user data. So one is fine because it's the same thing. And if I click marketing yes, then it will fire these three. It will consent to those three. Okay, anyhow, so let's save this and let's do this again. So website is fine, how it's set up. Let's preview that. Okay, let's preview this. Okay, and what can we see here now? Isn't that's exactly what's so important and nobody tells you, right? So if you look at the summary, this tag fired Cookiebot, that's fine, right? Because we didn't select any additional consent. It fired on consent initialization. And on the initialization stage, we selected GA config tag should fire, or it's fired before, right? But what happened now? If we click into that, we can all of a sudden see not fired due to missing consent. And which consent has been missing? The required additional consent. Right? So for analytics storage and ad storage. So what we can see here now, this additional consent requirement or option or setting enables us to send no cookieless links to Google anymore. So now Google GA4, for example, or Meta, or wherever you want to send your data to, is not getting any cookieless pings anymore. And from a user perspective, you are not sharing any data. From a legal perspective, you should be fine. There's nothing more you can do. You're not sending anything over, so you should be fine. And that's the powerful part here and the lesson to learn here, I guess, to actually understand the difference between built-in consent and additional consent. Yeah, and that's it. With that, I hope that was useful. And yeah, please, please, please consider subscribing to this channel to get the message out, to the marketers, to the analysts and whatever, just spread the word, and it helps me with my channel for the ranking. I would like to have a like if you can do it. I'm putting a lot of effort in this content, and I just want to, get the message out there and help me if you can and if you want. Okay, keep watching, keep learning. Bye bye.